talking about how you can be working fewer hours in your tax season and year round, honestly. One of the things I see amongst our clients, amongst the Facebook groups out here where there's tons of tax preparers and accountants, is that they are working really long hours. And they're working really long hours because I think there's three things that they could be doing that would be transformative in the way that they're operating their business. And so you want to definitely hang around because these are going to be things that you need to be thinking about as you wrap up your tax season. If we haven't had the chance to meet yet, I'm Jamie Gruhl, and after helping over 500 tax and accounting practices implement automation with TaxDome, I can confidently say that automation is the only way to increase your profit and time freedom in your practice. We all know that atmosphere and the environment that is happening within the financial professionals world, where tax professionals, accountants, and bookkeepers are hanging out a lot, is that things are shifting. And if you are somebody who is tired of the old way of operating, where there's lots of paper and lots of manual effort, and then you need to really be thinking about how you want to change when tax season is over and you move into the slower period of summer, and how you can do some shifting of the way you're operating your practice so that you are actually working smarter, not harder. Now, what does that look like? Well, that looks like being able to work fewer hours. We all know that time is finite. There is only so many hours in a day. And when we spend our time on things that are necessary, such as invoicing and emails and follow up to our clients that haven't gotten things done for us yet, we're taking away from other opportunities, other things that we want to be doing. Maybe it's self-care, maybe it's time with your family, maybe it's, being out and doing the hobbies that you love, the things that fill you up and make life enjoyable. And when we go in and we say, okay, I'm going to grind it out one more year. I'm going to do it one more year. That leads to the next year and then the next year. And if we don't change anything at this point in 2024, then you are not ever going to see an improvement in the way that your life is balanced. And I have worked with a lot of practices. We've served over 700 practices at this point, and we have goals to help transform this industry. We want to see people getting out and enjoying life. Now, I did the grind. I did the grind in corporate. I was in healthcare IT. I was doing project management. One thing I know is that long hours and the continual push of keeping things the way they are without the idea of optimizing and innovating when technologies around us are changing and the world around us is changing. I have to tell you, like for myself, I saw that in my corporate career, the corporate environment was not changing. That was still the same. There was still an expectation that I was going to work 45 hours was the minimum. That was what my boss told me one time. 45 hours is the minimum you should be clocking in your timesheet. And, I like you working more. So I was working 45, 50 hours on average. And then COVID hit and I was in healthcare IT and we were expected to work 60 to 70 hours to help save the public. And I did it happily because I was, totally bought into the mission. I decided in those moments, this is not what I want to be doing. This is not how I want to spend my life. And maybe you've had those same thoughts. Like, I built this business and I'm now doing tax preparation and accounting and bookkeeping. And I'm working these crazy god awful hours and it doesn't feel good to me anymore. I can't do this anymore. And you have two choices. One choice is I change the way I'm working and I implement systems and workflows and I make the change and I see how I can buy things back. The other option is that I continue doing what I'm doing and then eventually just burn out completely, get sick, have bad things happen in my relationships because I'm not able to give them the time that they need. And I just deal with it. I just assume this is life. This is how it has to be. Well, I'm here today to tell you it doesn't have to be that way. I believe they are the three things that are helping shift practices. When the business owner decides that I'm going to change the way I operate and I'm going to implement the things that can make me more efficient, more streamlined, more organized, so I can feel better, so I can be able to step away and not fear the whole thing blowing up on me and having to return to a horrible mess. I get to return to knowing exactly what needs to be done. I get to return to emails that need to be answered, but I know I know what to expect. And a lot of times as business owners, we fear that stepping away. way. And so you need to have the systems in place, the foundation in place to have a solid house, right? And so what these three things are the solid house. And I believe that they can help you transform the way you're working going forward. And after tax season, I want you to think about how you can commit to yourself and commit to your future so that you can have many years of owning your business, many years of success by implementing the foundation now. Okay. So let's dive in. I'm going to share my screen because I love sharing in TaxDome how we can do this work. So here is what I want to talk to you about. So the first thing that I want to talk to you about, so the ways that you can start working less than 40 hours a week in your practice year round, and some weeks, maybe even way less, is the idea of automation. Automation and workflows are the systemization and standardization of your existing processes. So when I say that, that does not mean that we're ripping out the client experience. We are making this a poor client experience. In fact, we're actually improving it because you can have a more consistent and manageable way of executing on client communications, on client expectations. And I'm going to talk about that today. But the first thing that I want to talk about is onboarding. So whether you are a small practice or you are a mid-sized practice, whether you're somebody who is, happy and has a full roster, or you are a practice owner that's to scale immensely and wants to have a team and wants to bring on hundreds and thousands of clients and build a really big practice, you need to have an onboarding process. Now, there's kind of two types of onboarding. There's the new client onboarding, where you have a prospect, they go through your sales process, and then they get onboarded into your firm. There's also the onboarding for your recurring services like tax preparation, right? Like you have an onboarding process that all of your clients have to go through every year to re-engage with you for that next year. And so the onboarding within your practice really is an essential role that is critical for you to make sure that you have standardized and optimized and automated as much as possible. Now, why is that the key? Well, because one, onboarding is going to always happen. You're always going to have attrition. You're going to have clients pass away. You're going to have clients that move. You're going to have clients that just decide you're not the right fit anymore. And that's okay. But we need to make sure that we have a method of bringing in new clients and being able to manage those efficiently. And so what I'm sharing here on my screen is actually a workflow that is an example of a new lead or a prospect coming into your practice and being able to onboard this person effectively. Now, we have rolled this out. We have done lots of trainings on this. But one of the things I always hear back as feedback when people implement this workflow is like, I had no idea what I was missing by not having a system to actually manage my leads. And the same thing goes for tax preparation onboarding. The cool thing about having a pipeline, and we use TaxDome, we love TaxDome because TaxDome is really the only tool out there that can automate everything. Automate your emails, automate your invoicing, automate the follow-up on all of those things, automate proposals and getting recurring payments. TaxDome is one of the only tools that's able to do that all in one space. So what TaxDome is able to do is I have it built out in our methodology of using TaxDome. I have it built out so that my client onboarding guides the client through a step-by-step process that takes them from absolutely, they have just expressed interest in working with us. Maybe they saw us in an ad, maybe they reached out to us on the phone, they were a referral from a client. Everybody gets treated the exact same way. And what that does for you as the practice owner is you never have to wonder where someone is in your process. You never have to pick it up and be like, we haven't heard from, this new lead yet, and I'm not sure what has happened for them. By having it in TaxDome and having a system, I can go in and I can see, oh, they've gotten our organizer. Here's their application. Here's the information that I need to make an assessment. Is this somebody we want to meet with? Where are they at? They're in a discovery call is scheduled. I can see immediately what is happening with this client. I don't have to go and talk to my admin and find out from them what's going on. I don't have to go to my team member who is the coordinator, their operations manager, and find out from them what the current status is. No, it's all right here. And as the practice owner, this gives you amazing transparency into your delegation out to team members. As a solo practitioner, you have amazing transparency into where you left off. Your brain no longer has to hold all of those moving parts and details. in your head, and you don't have to like come up with that. That is exhausting you. So client onboarding is essential. It's very similar. We have a standardized method and process that we move our clients through, and everybody is expected to go through it. We set boundaries. We're able to communicate to them exactly what the expectations are of them during this engagement, of our deadlines, of all the things. And the cool thing is about something like TaxDome is it moves your clients through automatically. So it's kind of a set it and forget it until they get you their stuff. Or you start getting close to deadlines and you have to remind them, hey, we need your stuff. But TaxDome makes it so easy because everybody is in here. And it's, some people have used the metaphor of like, it's kind of like when you set up at the horse race, everybody gets set up at the start line. And as soon as you press go, the horses start breaking out and you start seeing your people who are your deliverers, right? Like the people that want to get their refunds real quick. And then you have your laggards, the ones that need to be followed up with a bit more, but you're able to see transparently exactly where they're at. They've gotten my kickoff email. Great. Once they say, yes, we're going to work with you, they get our communications agreement, which tells them exactly what the expectations are. What are the deadlines? What does it mean to have a deadline? And it's customized, whether they're business or they're an individual. These are the things that transform the way in which you work and get you back so much time. We also can get deposit invoices, right? Or if you want to be paid in full at the beginning, we can set up a system for that by standardizing things. This allows, again, the automation to do the work for us. This becomes your virtual VA, your virtual assistant, your virtual assistant, who is your digital agent that helps you get things there. We can then request the documents and we can request information that allows us to then take our steps of preparing the return. So all of these first 5 steps, well, these 4 here, they are the things that the client must go through to onboard with us in tax preparation. And that is all done automatically. So cool. So cool. So the thing about automation is that when you do this within your onboarding, it makes it seamless for your clients too. And they see you not only as the professional they already knew you to be, but even more professional because you're able to, guide them to success. We're able to make sure that they get welcome emails. We're able to make sure they get scheduled appointments if we have that set up in our system. We're able to set expectations clearly for them, and that allows them to work effectively within your expectations. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about was document management and organization. So document management within your practice is really important. Maybe you're still accepting some paper documents. Maybe you have a Dropbox or a share file that you've been using in the past. The cool thing about something like TaxDome is that because it is an all-in-one, it has unlimited data storage. So you can store all of your documents in TaxDome. We do recommend backing them up somewhere else because even if you have a Dropbox or a share file, you should always have a redundancy there. You should always have a backup file of all of your client documents because that's your responsibility. But in TaxDome, they've made document management so easy. Ability to go and request documents from our clients can happen within TaxDome. The client uploads it directly to TaxDome, so there's no question for them of where do I go? Where do I send this? Do I send it to you in email? Do I send it to you via text? No, it goes in TaxDome. Everybody knows because, again, in our onboarding, we set the expectation. We use our secure portal to keep your information secure. Period. Point blank. No exceptions to that rule at all. When you are able to have systems, you can create boundaries, and document management is one of those boundaries. So we get all of our information into our client portal. Then we don't have to worry about where our team members think they need to go to find the documents that they need. There's no hunting down folders. There's no passing around the office, the documents. There's no keeping them in the back room and having to go dig them out from under the dust and the cobwebs of the back room. Everything is digitized and in your system. Now, what else does that do? It allows location freedom. So if you're somebody who is maybe nearing the end of your career and you're like, I want to have more flexibility about where I'm working. We have a lake house. I love spending time there. Or we love to travel to Florida every winter when it's gray and gross where I live. And I don't want to feel like I can't do that with my family and we have to put off living life. Because when you have things like TaxDome, you can take it on the road with you. Beautiful, right? And when you're doing that and you're intentional about your document management in a tool like TaxDome, you can then hire remote employees and you don't have to worry about transferring documents to them or shipping them or copying them. And, it's all in one, and it creates massive efficiencies that gets back your time. So even if you're like, oh, but I have clients that are paper clients, they always will be. Great, no problem. If you have paper clients, you can still accept their documents. If you have an office and like a storefront and you have people bringing things into you at the office, I would say have a high-speed scanner that you can just pop the scanned documents in, or the documents into, run the scanner, drop them directly into the client folder in your document management system in TaxDome, and then you can hand them their documents back. There's no need to have those documents on hand. Get them, scan them, hand them back. So that is a really powerful way for you to also make sure that it's being done the same way for every client. Don't have some folders floating around with paper documents in it. No, make a process where you just scan them right in. And that is going to, again, open up your time freedom, because you're not going to be hunting down things and you're going to have everything in one place. And I will also add that you need to be intentional about the way you're organizing. Now, a lot of people come to us because they are trying to figure out, how do I use this system effectively? We've already figured that all out, and we're glad to share with you our best practices and our workflows for Tax Pros program. But you need to, for yourself, think about, how do I want to manage this information? It's very important that you pick a method and you stick with it, because I can tell you from my own experience in life, I think I'm setting something up, or I think I'll deal with that later, I'll organize it later. No, I never do. And it becomes a mess. And then I have to go and I have to unmess it. And the unmessing is what takes so much time and energy. So it's better to start with a solid foundation and a solid known system for managing and setting up your documents in TaxDome, and honestly, for the use of TaxDome. Having somebody that's been there before you and has had hundreds of clients with results, that makes a huge difference when you know that they have had, it's tried and true. There's no trial and error on your part. You're saving lots of time and energy. So I'm just going to throw that out because it's important that you know that there are people out there like us that are guiding people to success. Now, the final thing I want to talk about is proactive client communication. This is the other essential item that people that are working fewer hours than you are doing. They are communicating with their clients. Now, why is this important? Well, an informed client performs. And to get an informed client, you must be providing them with communications and guidance from the very first step of working with you. Now, I showed you back here on our new lead pipeline. This is a pipeline where you are able to guide your clients to success. And you, at every step, are able to communicate with them exactly what the expectations are of them in that moment. And what this does, we call this breadcrumbing in our program. This is a method of sending them out small bites of information and expectation for them, so that they know exactly at request a discovery call or a sales call with us, they know exactly what that means. We send them a message and we send them an email that says, it's time for you to schedule your consultation call. Here's how you do that. You don't tell them in the very first steps of, hey, send us your information and then schedule this appointment. No, if you do that, you risk people just not doing any of it and just saying like, well, why can't you just like schedule the call on the phone? Then you get out of your standardized process, which then results in inefficiencies. And also people falling in the cracks, which we don't want either. So what is possible then with using a tool like TaxDome is we can, at every step along the way, where appropriate, we can inform our clients, here's a status update, right? Here's a status update. You got us your documents. So for example, here, let me actually pop over here to my tax prep. What we do is here, after they submit their organizer and get us their documents and say they're done providing us documents, we actually send them an email that is a status update that says, hey, we've got your documents. We're going to review them over the next couple of days, and then we will be in touch if there's anything missing. This email alone eliminates massive amounts of people emailing in saying, where you at, what documents you got. You can even go so far as to give them like an expected timeline of how quickly the turnaround should be, so that the client knows in their head, what is the expectation I have at this current step of my process. So that is huge. And being able to automate that means that you and your team don't have to worry about tracking exactly where a client is at and making sure that every client receives that email. Having these open channels of communication in a very defined channel of communication, always through our portal, it allows us to make sure that our clients know where to go and communicate with us, and that we're able to make sure that it's always open and available to them. And that is where we go to communicate. And if somebody tries to communicate with you outside of that, you then pull them back and say, actually, we would like to have you communicate with us. Tax season, that's our preferred, our primary method of communication. This is all about expectation setting for your clients. And those small steps make massive changes in your ability to get back time, so you're not spending it following up with questions that are the same again and again and again. So these are the three things that I think are really transforming the way practices are running. First, we had our automation for onboarding and making sure that you are managing your new leads and also managing your tax preparation clients as you're onboarding them for the next tax year. The second thing is effortless document management and organization. So by having this set up for your practice, it's going to make massive efficiencies in how you're able to serve your clients and also getting the important information and data from your clients. The third one is proactive client communication and engagement. Again, leaning into automation allows you to create an open communication, set those expectations, and follow through with your expectations that you've set for your clients through boundaries. And so that really buys you back so much time. But I just want to say thank you for tuning in for this Workflows Wednesday. I will see you again next week. And until then, take care of yourself.